Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at a really important, maybe sometimes overlooked player in national security.
We're focusing on Bangladesh's National Security Intelligence, the NSI.
Exactly. We've gathered quite a bit of material on them, and our mission really is to understand this agency, how it started, what it does, its structure, why it matters.
And maybe uncover some surprising aspects along the way. It should be fascinating.
Let's hope so. So where do we start? Formation.
Makes sense. The NSI was formally set up on December 29th, 1972, so very soon after Bangladesh gained independence.
Right, that timing is significant, isn't it? Establishing a key intelligence agency right off the bat.
It really is, and specifically a civilian intelligence agency. It shows the priority placed on, well, internal security, counterterrorism, counterintelligence, but also, interestingly, foreign intelligence right from the start.
Okay, so it's the main civilian one, but
Mhm.
it's not the only one, right? There are others.
Oh, definitely. You've got the Directorate General of Forces Intelligence, the DGFI, which is the big military one. Then there's the Special Branch, SB, CID, PBI, plus intelligence units within the military and paramilitary forces. It's a crowded field.
But NSI is described as the largest, and it answers directly to the Prime Minister.
Yes. Both points are key. Its size reflects its broad mandate, and that direct line to the PM, well, that signals its strategic importance. Decisions can be informed quickly at the highest level.
And it reinforces that it's independent, civilian-led. You mentioned comparisons, like MI5 in the UK.
Sort of. The internal security function, yes, that draws comparisons to MI5, but the NSI also has that foreign intelligence role, which is where it differs. In the UK, that's MI6's job, you see.
Ah, okay, so a wider remit than just domestic stuff, and they're physically present across the whole country.
They are territorial units in all 64 districts, each one headed by a joint director or a deputy director.
Wow, that's quite a footprint. Must give them ears on the ground everywhere.
Precisely. It helps gather grassroots intelligence, understand local dynamics, and coordinate responses much more effectively. It's a significant logistical setup.
So let's talk about what they're actually gathering intelligence on. What's the scope?
Well, it's extremely broad. They look at foreign governments, foreign individuals, corporations, political movements broad.
Okay, the external focus. And internally.
Internally, it's just as wide. Government officials, political parties, politicians, naturally. But also extremist groups, separatists, religious bodies, trade unions, NGOs, popular movements. Basically, any group or person deemed relevant to national security.
That covers a lot of ground. It sounds like they're trying to build a very comprehensive picture.
They are. And it's not just about collecting raw data. A huge part of their job is analysis.
Right, making sense of it all.
Exactly. They analyze their own collected intel, but crucially, they also bring in information from the other agencies like DGFI, SB, etc. They synthesize it all.
And then present that analysis.
Yes, they provide assessments identifying threats, trends, potential future issues directly to the Prime Minister and also to the National Committee for Intelligence Coordination. They're like a central hub for intelligence analysis.
So collection analysis.
Yeah.
Does it go further? What about actual operations?
It can. The NSI is authorized to carry out, or at least oversee, covert activities overseas. But this needs an executive order, naturally.
Covert ops. So using their own people. Or military.
It could be their own employees, members of the military, or even working with partner forces from other countries. It highlights a capacity for direct action when needed.
Interesting. And besides that, the core functions we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Counterterrorism, counterintelligence.
Counterterrorism is huge, of course. Counterintelligence protecting against foreign spying. Political intelligence understanding the political landscape. And, very visibly, protecting VIPs and VVIPs. That's a major responsibility.
Okay, that gives a good sense of their activities.
Yeah.
How is the agency actually structured to do all this? Who leads it?
At the very top, you have the Director General, the DG. This is a senior post. It's usually held by either a secretary to the government, which is a top civil service rank, or a two-star general from the Bangladesh Army.
Okay, so high-level leadership. And below the DG...
You have a hierarchy. Directors, additional directors, joint directors, deputy directors, and assistant directors making up the core leadership and management structure.
And they need technical people too, I imagine.
Absolutely. The sources mention roles like computer engineers, telephone engineers, research officers. Modern intelligence relies heavily on tech and deep analysis.
Makes sense. Our info also lists specific directorates. Can these tell us more about how they divide up the work?
They definitely give us clues. There's an internal directorate, presumably domestic intel, a DACA wing focusing on the capital, border directorate, self-explanatory,
External for foreign ops.
security, media, training.
Security directorate, yes, likely physical security, personnel security, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Media wing is interesting, maybe public liaison or monitoring or strategic comms. Training is vital, obviously. And political eco-security. That sounds newer.
Political directorate makes sense. Eco-security, yes, that likely reflects the growing understanding that environmental issues, resource scarcity, climate change impacts are national security issues.
Right. Then admin, research, counter-terrorism.
Administration for the day-to-day running. Research for deeper dives, long-term trends. A dedicated counterterrorism cell showing that priority. And a general intelligence directorate, perhaps overseeing core collection and analysis functions across the board.
And who staffs all these roles? Mostly civilian.
Yes, the information suggests the bulk of the staff are civilian personnel.
How do they recruit the officers, the Class 1 positions?
That's handled centrally by the Prime Minister's office. New officers typically come in as assistant directors, which is a grade 9 post in the civil service structure.
Okay, recruited centrally, starting at assistant director. Now, you mentioned the DG at the top. Looking back, who has held that position? Has it always been a mix of military and civilian?
It has been quite a mix, which is interesting in itself. The very first DG was Mohammed Mesbahudin from 72 to August 75, a critical period right after formation.
And then, any notable names or periods?
Well, you had ABS Safdar after him.
Mhm.
Through the 90s, you see figures like Brigadier General Ashraf, Brigadier General Eminal Haq, who was a Bir Adam, a decorated freedom fighter. Major General Ghulam Qadir was there in 96.
So definite military presence early on and through the 90s.
Yes, and continuing, Major General Mustafizur Rahman, then an acting DG, Colonel Mohammed Wahid al-Haq in 97-98, Qazi Mashir Rahman, a civilian, I believe. Then more military figures like Major General Abdur Rahim, Major General Rezakul Haider Chowdhury, Major General Sheikh Emdo Monirul Islam.
The Brigadier General Manzoor Ahmed retired.
That's right. Then, in more recent times, Major General Shamsul Haq, Major General T.M. Jobawer, and then a very short tenure for Major General Mohammed Hossein Morshed, just from April to August 2024.
Very brief. And the current DG?
The current Director General, appointed August 13th, 2024, is Major General Abu Muhammad Sarwar Farid. So, yes, a real mix of backgrounds leading the agency over its history.
Fascinating. That history itself probably shaped the agency. Now, let's talk about specific operations. We know they have a foreign intelligence role. Any examples?
There's a very significant one mentioned in our sources from 2023. The rescue of Lieutenant Colonel Sufiul Anam, retired, from al-Qaeda captivity in Yemen.
Ah, yes. I remember hearing about that. He was working for the UN.
He was. He'd been held for 18 months, abducted back in February 2022. His captors were demanding a $3 million ransom.
And the NSI managed the rescue after 18 months.
The sources credit the NSI with a successful operation leading to his rescue. It's a pretty clear demonstration of their operational capability and reach well beyond Bangladesh's borders, really underscores that foreign intel and operational mandate.
It certainly does. Okay, now for a balanced picture, we also need to touch upon some controversies or criticisms that have surfaced. We need to be careful here, just reporting what the sources say.
Absolutely. Impartiality is key. One point raised comes from a 2009 Human Rights Watch report. It alleged NSI involvement in harassment and arbitrary arrests of labor activists during the political crisis period of 2006-2008.
Okay, so that's an allegation from HRW relating to that specific period.
Correct. Another instance where the NSI was mentioned relates to the tragic murder of labor activist Aminul Islam in 2012.
How were they mentioned?
Well, the person convicted for the murder, there was media speculation suggesting he might have had links to the NSI. However, it's crucial to note, the court itself didn't formally investigate or ask the NSI about these supposed links.
And the NSI's position.
The agency has denied these controversies. So we have the allegations from HRW, the media speculation around the murder trial, and the agency's denials. That's the picture presented.
Right. It highlights the kind of scrutiny intelligence agencies often face. Balancing security needs with rights and transparency. It's a difficult line.
It really is.
On a completely different note, has the NSI ever popped up in, like, fiction or popular culture?
It has, actually. There was a web TV series in 2021 called Contract.
Oh, yeah. What was the connection?
One of the main characters, played by Arifin Shuvu, is apparently a fictional retired NSI agent who becomes a hitman. His code name, rather dramatically, is Bastard.
Okay, definitely fictional territory there.
Absolutely. The plot involves him being hired to take down a drug lord antagonist named Black Ranju. It's pure fiction, of course, but it shows the NSI has entered the public consciousness enough to be used, as a backdrop for spy thrillers.
Interesting how these real-world agencies fuel that kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
Now, lastly, our sources had a see also list. Might be useful for listeners.
Yes, it points to related entities within the Bangladesh security structure. The National Committee for Intelligence Coordination is listed. We mentioned the NSI reports to them.
And DGFI again?
DGFI is there, yes.
Yeah.
Reinforces their role as the military counterpart. Also listed is the Counter-Terrorism and Intelligence Bureau, suggesting a specialized unit, perhaps within another agency or police force, and the President Guard Regiment, which handles presidential security.
So exploring those could give an even wider view of the whole security apparatus.
Definitely. It helps place the NSI within that broader ecosystem.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We've taken quite a deep dive into the NSI today.
We have. I think the key takeaway is its central role as Bangladesh's main civilian intelligence agency, formed right after independence.
With a really broad scope, hasn't it? Foreign intelligence, domestic security, counterterrorism, analysis, protection.
Exactly. And reporting directly to the PM. We've looked at its structure, the mix of leadership over the years, that notable rescue operation in Yemen.
And also acknowledge the controversies reported by groups like HRW and in the media alongside the agency's denials.
It gives a picture of a complex, powerful organization operating in, well, a complex world.
Absolutely. Which brings us to maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. In a world facing so many threats, but also valuing democracy and individual rights, what's the right balance? How do civilian intelligence agencies like the NSI navigate that tightrope between ensuring national security and upholding the liberties we expect in a democratic society?
That's the fundamental tension, isn't it? There are no easy answers there.
Definitely something to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.